you try to please people, you'll be these different versions of yourself, and women won't see you as being an integrous man. And as a result, they can't trust you. They don't feel respected, because if you're constantly trying to please people, you're being dishonest.
Yeah.
When you're being dishonest, you're disrespecting people. You're not being true to who you are. You're not standing up for what you believe in. You don't have direction. You're easily swayed, which is unattractive in any type of relationship, friendship, brotherhood, marriage. So integrity, 100% in agreement. You know, your values, do you act in alignment with those, or do you succumb to lower things? That's why a huge conversation I have with guys is, again, putting women on a pedestal, or what I like to say is your priorities. If women are at the top of your priority list, you put them as the main focus, you will then put like values of honesty, respect down here. So if you think you can get laid by being dishonest, you will.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
when you
well said. When you make women that true north of your compass, they become your direction, right? And what I find in those cases is when you put her in that position, that's where you get yourself involved in things, and ultimately what she ends up becoming is your mother. Right? You hear women all the time talking about like, oh, I don't want to be a mother, I don't want to be a therapist. And often that's because they're with a guy who has kind of made her his sole direction. And once he achieves her and has her in his life, he kind of just doesn't really know what to do with himself anymore. He loses his direction. He doesn't really know where he's going. And guys who don't have that direction, don't have that value system, often what they'll end up doing is, it's like the analogy, you're out in the woods and you're just kind of walking kind of like in circles ish. But if you can walk with some sense of purpose, you might be able to convince somebody who has no idea where they're going that you're going somewhere more important than they are. Right. And that's what I see so many relationships end up being, is like, yeah, come with me. I'm going over here. And then they go and then they just get more lost. And it's just like, you really have to have a sense of where you want to go, because it's about not making people your compass. It's about making people your companions on the journey that you want to go. It's like, I want to hike that mountain there. And they can be like, oh, me too. Cool. Let's go together. That, I think, is what relationships need to be more of. But people just tend to be like wandering around in the wilderness trying to look for somebody who seems like they know where they're going more than they do. That's it. And you're just like basing your next step on where this person's going, where that person's going. And that's where that codependency comes in. Because if you're lost out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to latch onto anyone, literally anyone. You will have no boundaries. If this person is just there, you'll be like, oh my God, can I come with you? Right? And that's what so many people are living in. They're in that state of fear, and they're in that state of being lost. And then they just kind of grasp onto whatever piece of driftwood happens by, and then get upset when they are more lost than they were before after that relationship ends. And at some point, it's like, well, you got to figure out where are you going now? You got to figure out where you're going, regardless of anybody else. And that's the only way that you're going to align with somebody who's going somewhere.